How's it going, everyone? Tyler Dunn here at golongtd.com, and inside the Substack app, and of course, inside your email inbox. Thank you so much to everybody out there all season long for subscribing, supporting. We're completely powered by you. Again, no ads, no sponsors, no FanDuel gambling blood money. This is how we want it. We want to be completely independent, beholden to nobody, beholden to no social media mobs. We write for you, and we are on the relentless search for the good, the bad, the ugly, real football in every sense at Go Long. So thank you so much for powering everything here. I can't say it enough. Just so indebted to you all for taking the time to get the credit card out, put in those digits, and support our journalism here. Always want to put your support and your time to good use. That's why recently I flew down to Houston and spent a lot of time around this beautifully belligerent old school defense. Man, I wrote it in the series. If you're a fan from any era, I think you can appreciate the Houston Texans. You know me, I grew up in the 90s, seeing Reggie White just club offensive tackles. They're in the Superdome in the Super Bowl. You've got Greg Lloyd staring through your soul. He was a horrifying player. Hey, I know we've got some fans who grew up on the 70s. Maybe it's the Steel Curtain. Maybe it's Ronnie Lott in the 80s, cutting off his pinky to play. Whatever you grew up on, I think you can appreciate this Texans defense because they get it. Like they know that toughness is not coached. Toughness is not purchased. You need to be hostile to your core. You need to appreciate and embrace real football, true football at a young age, to play the way they do play on defense. And this is a defense. It's not overly exotic. It's not a schematic. You know, they're not disguising and deceiving and disorienting quarterbacks with X's and O's. They do some stuff, but you know what's coming. I mean, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, they knew what kind of defense this was. And like that old Mike Tyson quote, right? Like everybody has a plan until you get punched in the jaw. That's the Texans defense. Under Matt Burke, Colin plays as D coordinator. Under DeMeco Ryans, a former NFL linebacker, they don't try to do anything too exotic with too much trickeration. But to pull this off, you have to know exactly what you're looking for. They call themselves savages for a reason. Like the way they draft and the way they acquire players, it started with that Will Anderson trade. Everybody said they were nuts. How can you try to microwave a rebuild, give away all this valuable draft capital? Hell, I probably said something similar at that time. Most people did for one player. And, you know, there is some projection in your front office. You're looking ahead to the next draft class and not seeing that many edge rushers. I'm sure there's some of that. But more than anything, I think that Nick Caserio, the general manager, DeMeco Ryans, the head coach, Matt Burke, the defensive coordinator, the entire staff, from the second that Will Anderson walked in that building, they said, this is what we want everybody to be about when they're with the Houston Texans. He's relentless. He really is stranded on a desert, and that quarterback is a jug of water. Like the way he finishes plays is unlike really anybody in football. So to make him a foundational piece, so then everybody in practice sees how he's attacking practice, it started there, right? And Kamari Lassiter, same deal. He ran in the 4.6s at his pro day, and I think it scared a lot of scouts. It scared a lot of teams. The Texans, they care, but they really don't care. That's not a high priority. It's about loving football. It's about being violent. Let me find the exact quote here from Aziz Al-Shire, he's really the main character in both of these parts. Learned a hell of a lot about him. We'll get into him in a second. But when it comes to Ryans and what he values, this is what Al-Shire said. Quote, he's not asking you to be this unicorn athlete. He's just asking you to go as hard as you possibly can. I've seen some of the prettiest looking unicorn athletes, and they get on that football field and they just soften up. I'll take a guy with the mindset over the body type because you can work on your body type. I've gotten way stronger and faster since I've been in the NFL, but my mindset's always been the same. How do you find that mindset? When I started covering football full-time at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, 2011, probably one of the things that surprised me is locker room cleanup day. So you had this crushing playoff loss, and I think as a fan growing up of any team, as a football consumer, you assume that everybody loves it, that a playoff loss is just killing these guys inside, eating them up inside. And I'm sure everybody's disappointed. But there's a wide spectrum of disappointment. There's going to be players who are eager to get the hell out of Dodge, get out of that Wisconsin cold, that Buffalo cold, anywhere. They've been around these teammates and coaches longer than they've been around their wives the last 7-8 months. They can't wait to get the hell out of there. Get to Cancun, get a vacation. There's a lot of guys like that who like football. Like they play football because they're good at it. Like any skill. Like it is a job. It is not a passion. They punch in, they punch out. They're paid handsomely. It supports their family. Many of these players, they do come from some brutal backgrounds, so they can support their extended family. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I think a lot of people probably listening to this podcast, watching it, may have a job that like it doesn't define them. And that's honestly, it's kind of a refreshing in a lot of ways. But then there are players who, like, football does define them. Football is a passion. They genuinely love it. And those players, I've come to learn, the longer you're around this game, you see it, they're harder to find. Like, there's no combine for toughness, for passion. Like, you have to sit down with these guys for those 18 minutes at the combine, and then again on a top 30 visit, and then again at their school at a pro day, and then talk to their parents, their cousins, their professors, their coaches, their friends, like, to figure out who really loves this game. It's a lot harder. And for this Texans defense to work, point A to point B, straight ahead, kicking your ass, not caring who hears it, like, you got to dig a little deeper. And they have. My gosh, talking to Kamari Lassiter, it's like talking to Richard Sherman's long-lost nephew. Starts playing tackle football at age 4, just loving it to its core. Describes his position as more psychological warfare, and grew up in the Legion of Boom. That's just kind of wild. I mean, a lot of these players made me feel old. Matt Berg, too, we were kind of laughing about it, the defensive coordinator. A lot of these players grew up on the Legion of Boom. They saw what the Seattle Seahawks did to offenses in 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and that's what they know. That's what they wanted to become, and I think that you're seeing it now. You're seeing a defense, kind of another one, dropped in the middle of this offensive revolution where every rule, every provision is working against you. You've got to be wired this way. Like, you can't be hesitant. It's like telling Pablo Picasso to color between the lines, telling George Carlin you can't swear. Like, you can't tell a football player not to be physical, not to be violent. I think there are coaches and there are teams that they do kind of tap the brakes. They kind of scatter the field with construction cones and caution tape and get into these players' heads. You can't. Like, you can't be bureaucratic, and you got to let these guys go. I mean, that's why the Houston Texans play the way they do, and that's why it's different. Take this quote from E.J. Speed, linebacker, who was excellent as well. We're getting into that Chiefs game and how Rashee Rice dropped a pass late in that game. Well, there's a reason he dropped that pass. Kamari Lassiter absolutely tattooed him earlier in that game. Here's Speed. He's talking about running backs hiding behind linemen. He sees it. Like, they're running gap schemes. It's not his own scheme. You've got to hit the hole as that running back, and they'll hide. They don't want the noise. Quote, they know if they come through a hole, it's going to be trouble. It's not safe out there. It ain't safe, especially when you're up 2 scores. People are like, man, I'm not going to put my body on the line. That's what makes a dominant defense. Kalen Bullock, quote, we don't hold anything back. Those guys on the other side of the ball are still trying to take our heads off, so we're going to make you hurt after the game. When you play us, you're going to walk off the field like, oh, yeah, that defense is serious. And I pass that along to EJ Speed. He goes, quote, yeah, we want to hurt. We want you to hurt. We want you to remember when you played the Texans. You might have to play us again in the playoffs. You'll be like, man, last time we played these boys, I came out with an elbow and knee, all type of stuff. We're not trying to intentionally hurt anybody. It's our brand of football that we play. And so it's encouraged. It's coached. Yeah, there is a line, and you try to get up to that line without crossing it. But look at Patrick Mahomes is tiptoeing up the sideline, trying to get 2 extra yards. You have to hit him. If a quarterback is trying to get an extra yard or two before that slide, you've got to treat him as a runner, which brings us to the moment where this all could have fallen apart in December of 2024. All of this is in part 2. Again, check it out in full. I think it came out to got over like 10,000 words. We do call the site Go Long, so you're warned ahead of time that these are like mini books. But yes, Azeez Al-Shaair opened up, I think, more than he ever has on this all. He was the villain. He was made a villain by VP John Runyon and the NFL themselves with that letter put out there. And look, it was a flag. It probably was fine-worthy, hitting Trevor Lawrence, concussing Trevor Lawrence, the forearm to the head. It looks awful, especially in slow motion. But I think Azeez's point is go back through history. Look at any of the best defensive players to play the game. And yeah, they're getting face masks and they're getting unnecessary roughnesses and they're getting fined. His point was that John Runyon and the NFL kind of made him out to be the example, the pariah, everything that you should not be in the NFL. And it pissed him off, to say the least. Quote, he wrote the letter as if I personally slapped him in the face. This is Al-Shaair on Runyon's letter. I don't even know you. You don't know me, but you're talking about me as if you know my character. You're speaking in a very personal matter for somebody you've never personally met. That is insane. I've never had so much to say about anybody that I've ever met before. When I wrote this series, and hopefully you check it out, he makes a great point, because when you watch the way Azeez plays, it is hell-bent for election. It is 100 miles an hour. He's flying all over the place, hitting everything that moves. But there's a reason for it. Like, this is somebody at 12 years old who literally saved his brothers from a burning house, who ran back into the flames, saved his 1-year-old niece sleeping in a bedroom, crawling on all fours through the smoke, outside, just holding a pair of Nike slides, watching everything burn to a crisp. That's how it started for him as a kid. Then he's homeless. Then his family of 11 is jammed into an extended stay motel. He's sleeping on the floor. He's taking a city bus 2.5 hours to school, dropping his brothers off at elementary school. He's not eating lunch. He's taking whatever food he can, striking up a relationship with the lunch lady so his siblings can eat. Then he's not sleeping because he's uncomfortable on the floor. Then he's going to football practice. Like, he gets his chance at Florida Atlantic. He's getting into fights with teammates at practice because every snap is life or death. Tomorrow's not promised. He gets to San Francisco, and he shares his story. It's really funny. From 49ers training camp, he's a UDFA off of a torn ACL his last year at college. Is there anybody more expendable than somebody like that? Undersized linebacker, Azeez Al-Shaair? Probably not. Riding his bike to practice. So he's going all out. I mean, he's tackling players at practice. And Kyle Shanahan in a team meeting just says, Azeez, you got to knock this shit off. Like, if you keep doing this, your ass is going to get cut. You're going to be out of here. D'Amico Ryans is a linebackers coach, pulls him aside privately and says, like, Azeez, I told you got to calm down. And so the rest of the week at practice, he's sarcastically throwing his arms up. See, I'm not hitting anybody. And then what happens at Levi's Stadium against the Dallas Cowboys? He lights up a running back on a screenplay. The place goes nuts, which it's a preseason game. It's hard to make a stadium go nuts in the third quarter of a preseason game. Go back and watch the clip he did. Fred Warner and Drake Greenwald, they were losing their mind on the sideline. And he points over to Kyle Shanahan and D'Amico Ryans says, I told you, MFers, I told you. And then that's how he made the team. He didn't look back. He's not going to tap the brakes. So somebody like that who comes from all of that, they're not going to tap the brakes. They're going to go all out. And yeah, I don't think that, restaurants in Duval County are exactly going to roll out the red carpet to Azeez if he is just visiting and looking for a nice meal. He is not liked in Jacksonville. But you know what? Until the NFL just sticks the flags into belts, it's a run and hit league. It's a violent sport. It's not safe, and that's okay. And I think the Texans, more than any other team in the NFL, they understand that. Like, they get it. They lean into it. And in that moment, like, everything that the Houston Texans were building from 23, drafting Will Anderson Jr., 24, drafting Kamari Lassiter, Kalen Bullock, acquiring Danielle Hunter, drafting some more players, signing some more players, building up the number one defense in the NFL. Right then, everything could have fallen apart. Like, it was the number one story in sports. Aziz is, Darth Vader, Voldemort, pick your villain all rolled up into one. Everybody hates him. Everybody's piling on. Like, it would have been really easy as a franchise to go on the apology tour, right? GM apologize, head coach apologize, Aziz apologize, just acquiesce. And granted, you do have to own up to your mistake, own up to the hit, which he did, and he was suspended. But instead of going hard one direction, honestly, they doubled and tripled and quadrupled down, and they're not going to change their play style. Caserio called the John Runyon letter bullshit. D'Amico Ryans had his guys back and said, look, we want to play within the rules, but it's hard for the onus to be on the defensive player to get inside of a quarterback's head and to know exactly when he's going to slide, when he may be trying to get an extra yard or two, get that first down. What are you supposed to do? Like, I don't know, maybe people remember in 2006, Matthias Kiwanuka, 4th and 10, the Giants were up 21-0 on the Titans, and Vince Young, I think it's 21-14 at this point late in the game, 4th and 10. He's got Vince Young wrapped up to end the game, and he lets up, right? Because it's in his head. Like, you're anticipating a whistle. You're anticipating a flag. You're terrified. Like, you don't want to dull down the psychology of your players. So it was an opportunity right then the Texans realized to own who you are, own your identity. It wasn't pretty for Aziz. I mean, he was in a dark place, depressed. Then he's injured, trying to play through that Chiefs game. He was mic'd up. He didn't know he was mic'd up, and it never saw the light of day. But he said, man, the things I was saying to myself during that game, it's kind of wild to think that other people were even listening on the Texans staff, like your deepest, darkest thoughts. He was in a really bad place, in tears after that loss. But they powered through. They owned who they are as a team. He owned who he is as a player. Look, it's going to piss people off. You're going to get flagged at times. It's football at the end of the day. And I think the fact that they approach the sport that way, it's different. The Steelers are physical. To drive it forward to wild card weekend here, you saw it there. I mean, that was an impressive win. I get it. It was a missed field goal at the end of the game. The Ravens, Steelers both kind of went up and down the field in the fourth quarter. But you watch that game, and I mean, it brought you back to the early 2000s, didn't it? Like the old Steelers-Ravens games, where if you stepped on that field, you knew you're kind of signing a contract in a way. When I step off this field, my body is going to be covered in bruises. I am going to hurt on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. This is going to be a different level of physicality. It felt like one of those games. So I think the Steelers, to an extent, like they may be able to match the Texans' physicality to a point. But I don't know, man. I feel like Aaron Rodgers, as well as he played, we've been critical of him, obviously. He played great. That's about as sharp as Aaron Rodgers has looked late in the game with so much on the line in a long, long time. I have a hard time seeing the Steelers' offensive line, the Steelers' offense, for 4 quarters, fending off Will Anderson Jr., Daniil Hunter, Azeez Al-Shire, Kamari Lassiter, Derek Stingley, Jalen Petrie, this entire Texans defense. It's different. It's on the road, right? They've got to go to Acrisure Stadium, but I really like the Texans in this matchup. Obviously, this defense is if CJ Stroud in this inconsistent offense can just get a couple scores, the defense can do the rest. You saw it against Justin Herbert and the Chargers. They got out 14-0. They hit a couple big plays, and they were able to feed off of this defense. I think the Texans win. All right, and like I said, we got a busy week ahead of Go Long. I'll have the podcast with Bob McGinn. If it's not already posted by the time you're listening to this, it'll be up shortly. We will get into everything NFC North. Look ahead to Bears-Packers, which can't really draw it up any better than that for a wild card weekend. They haven't played that much in the playoffs, right? Since 2010. So that will be an insane atmosphere at Soldier Field. Love wild card weekend. You've got so many matchups, both conferences. Let's pull it up here. Take a look. Initial thoughts. Well, yeah, I guess we got to watch Panthers-Rams. I know the Panthers won, so you can't take them lightly if you're the Rams, and they are at home. But yes, the Rams are much more talented. They are 10-point favorites for a reason. Matt Stafford is up for MVP. Drake May justifiably should win it. But you have to like the Rams big in that one. Then you got Packers, Bears. We'll get into that. Bills, Jags. You're Buffalo. I mean, you're going into another postseason with the best quarterback, arguably, the best running back. James Cook ran for more yards than anybody in the NFL this season. They've built up that offensive line to play on the road. Like if you've got a running game that can travel, it's going to be tough, though. This is a hard matchup for Buffalo. Jacksonville is solid across the board, 1 through 53. Liam Cohen, that staff is loaded. I think we tend to forget, if a new head coach, like, who are you hiring on your staff? He made some really good hires. They've held guys accountable, similar to Ben Johnson in Chicago, that hard coaching we got into last week. They have responded in a big way. So I don't know. I'm going to wait till I pick this game till later in the week. Do you take Josh Allen to just go psycho mode for 1 week? That's where I'm leaning right now. I think that he is an all-timer. When it's all said and done, we'll be talking about Josh Allen as a Hall of Famer, as a top 15 quarterback ever. He does stuff that no other quarterback has. So you've got to win this game by any means. I think he does. And I think that Brandon Beane did the right thing in the offseason, leaning hard into defense. Now, granted, a lot of those guys are hurt, but this is where all of those additions over the offseason, you've got to have somebody create a turnover in the playoffs. So it'll be tough to stop. They haven't stopped anybody really on the run this year, but they have found a way to win games. Go back to the New England game, turnover. Go back, getting a stop when you need a stop. Cincinnati in the snow. Christian Benford making a big-time play. Daquan Jones getting a paw on a ball. Or I'm sorry, Jordan Phillips getting a paw on the ball. So you just need somebody to make some plays. We've seen statistically bad defenses find a way to create turnovers for their superstar quarterbacks. That's going to be the key for Buffalo to win on the road 3 times and get to a Super Bowl. Just create turnovers. Get stops. They haven't gotten stops. You got to find a way, some way, somehow, to get off the field. That's been a problem. So, yes, we'll definitely get into that matchup more. I'm going to make a point to get to One Bills Drive and see what Josh Allen has to say, some of those teammates have to say into another postseason. I think experience has to matter. Right, you've got a lot of Jaguar players who've never been in this moment. You have a lot of Bills players who have. I don't know how you quantify it. I think it's going to matter in Packers-Bears too. And to the Bears' credit, they have signed players like Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson who have been in those moments. But I think the fact that Jordan Love has tasted the playoffs is important. Just like I think Josh Allen versus a Trevor Lawrence. I think that matters too. And boy, San Francisco, Philly. San Francisco, you go from thinking you're going to be the number 1 seed and just stay at Levi Stadium all the way to the Super Bowl to now you got to go to Philly. I know they're offensively challenged. I was shocked that Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman didn't try to win that game against Washington, didn't try to get that number 2 seed. You know, it's a philosophy. You're valuing your health more than valuing the 2 versus the 3. Who knows? Maybe they like the San Francisco matchup more than the Green Bay matchup. I would love hosting 2 playoff games if I'm the Eagles. You know, you get Green Bay at home and then you get an NFC West team at home. I don't know. I think there's a value to that, but look, I'm not in Philadelphia. I don't know how you measure a home field advantage. Maybe they just think health is more important. And so here they are. They're at home. They'll get San Francisco. San Francisco's offense, up until that Seattle game, has been lights out. Brock Purdy has been as good as any quarterback in the NFL. And then Seattle just kind of shoves them into the garbage disposal, and they score 3 points. I mean, you heard it was wild. Kyle Shanahan at halftime, I kind of loved it. He's like, I don't know how we're in this game, down 10. I mean, they should have been down 21 at halftime. It's a miracle that they kept it as close as they did with the defense they have. I mean, no Nick Bosa, no Fred Warner. They've got a lot of guys out there you've never even heard of. Even Philly and all the problems they've had on offense. I have to think that the Eagles, with Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, they've got enough there talent-wise to get something offensively. I'm leaning Philly at this point in that game at home. Let's see what the spread is as of now. Yeah, wow, they're 4.5 points. That seems higher than I thought. But yeah, nobody's respecting that San Francisco defense, and I guess I don't blame them. So do like Philly there. All right, quickly, Patriots, Chargers, same calculation for the Chargers. Health, Herbert, hand. They leaned into this. They get the Patriots by not really trying in that Denver game. That's what they got. That's the Sunday night game. I think that New England takes care of business there fairly easily. And then, yeah, you got Pittsburgh, Houston. So it's going to be a hell of a weekend. And I hope everybody out there enjoys it. We'll have everything for you here at Go Along. Our game day chats will be running all 3 days. Let's do it. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We'll have the podcasts. And right now we've got the 10,000 words up on the Houston Texans, just creating this whole new world. Any fan from any era can appreciate it. And I think the personalities really drive it. And I think that's why they're so likable. Is yes, they play violent. And if they're hitting your quarterback, you're not liking it, obviously. But it's, at one point, Matt Burke kind of chuckled. He's like, we're not really doing anything complex here, anything complicated. You kind of know what we're doing. We run our stuff. But they find the people, the personalities to bring it to life and to sit down with these guys at length and try to tell their story was a lot of fun. So thanks so much for checking it out, sharing it with a friend. That's how we keep this thing growing. No ads, none of that. We're always going to be powered by you. So thank you so much for supporting us here into our 6th year of existence. And we'll have you covered all the way through Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara. We'll be there. Thanks so much, everyone. Catch you next time.